Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Village Vision podcast, where community, collaboration, and care converge. I'm Dr. Crystal Morrison, and I'm honored to be your host on this incredible journey. As a firm believer in the power of a united village, I'm thrilled to bring you inspiring stories, research, and projects that break down barriers in child and family care. Through heartfelt conversations with experts, advocates, and those with lived experiences, we'll showcase the transformative impact of collective support. So join me on the Village Vision podcast as we explore the remarkable collaborations that lead to better outcomes, foster a sense of community, and inspire action to improve care for ourselves and everyone around us. On today's episode, I'm here with Jeannette Paxia. Jeannette is an international best-selling author, speaker, and coach. She's also a mom and founder of innersuperhero.org and co-author with me of an upcoming book called Superheroes on the Spectrum. Welcome, Jeannette.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here.
Me too, of course. We've had so many conversations and clearly we have a ton in common. So it's really exciting. Yeah, it's really exciting.
It's so great to meet people who have things in common with you and understand where you've been and what you're going through.
Yeah, absolutely. And sort of like, soul sisters across these United States.
So I spent many, many years being bullied. And from that experience at that time, I would have done anything to change it.
Mm-hmm.
But now as I look back, I realize it created the person I am now and the work that I do, which is helping others get through that, whether they're children or adults. I actually was bullied for years as a child and then later in work as an adult. Mm-hmm. So my work today is focused on anti-bullying mostly, and that is just what I call building a solid foundation for success for children, teaching them to connect to what I call your inner superhero, which is your self-confidence. In addition, as I was doing that, adults would come to me and say, you know what, I've learned a lot about myself. And I came here to learn from my child and help my child. Because really, what it comes down to, whether you're a bully or you're being bullied, is self-confidence and self-love and how you feel about yourself in general. So if I can help people build self-confidence, then I can help them avoid being bullied or know how to deal with it when it comes about, whether you're talking about yourself as a child, whether you're talking about yourself as an adult, or whether you're an adult who works with children. It's important to know how to arm yourself with the tools so that you can avoid it. As a mom, I went through a lot. Jacob, my son, which we both have Jacobs, is 22. And it was a time when we didn't really know how to work with children diagnosed on the spectrum. And of course, it's gone through different changes and names and everything. Mm-hmm. But at the time, he was diagnosed with Asperger's. And for me as a mom, it's easier for me to stand up for my children anytime than it is for me to stand up for myself. And I was like a bulldog going through the schools and just advocating for him. And I think that resilience to advocate for him created a person who will continue to always fight for and help those who have different challenges. I call them special abilities, not disabilities, but getting through all of that.
Yeah, you were talking about how sometimes you're a stronger advocate for your children than you have maybe historically been for yourself. And I know that's certainly been the case for me. I have not felt like I've been very confident at most of the time in my life, and I've gotten better the older I've gotten in terms of self-confidence, but I can go straight mama bear when it comes to my kiddos in like a scary way sometimes, and that's okay.
That's what we're here for, right?
Yeah, that's what we're here for. But, a similar story to yours, which I know you've heard is, my son was having an absolute meltdown, overstimulated, overtired, when we were with family, when he was a toddler. And it was very much, you just need to spank him. You just need to be a stronger parent, and
this is your fault.
This is your fault, right? If you were a stronger, better parent, he wouldn't act like that. And, I knew intuitively that that wasn't true, but it was still very hard as a a young parent. And I just knew intuitively though that there was a lot more to it. And I know, um, you've had as a child with bullying, but also as a mom and on your journey coaching, there's probably been a lot of different people in your life that have been part of your support system, your village, right?
Yes.
Who are some of the people that come to mind? And you don't have to name names, but just maybe their roles in your life that have been a huge part of your village at different times.
I would say definitely my mother. I mean, she's
Mhm.
been gone for 13 years, but boy, that lady would do anything for her children and her grandchildren
Mhm.
and just love them all unconditionally. And I feel bad that my youngest son was one when she passed, so he didn't get that opportunity to really spend time with her. And then I would have to say, I couldn't do what I do or have supported Jacob without some of the teachers and counselors in his life. And one
Sure.
of them, Mr. D, excellent, excellent counselor, teacher who spent years with Jacob. Um, and what teachers would always say about him is, he may be big and strong and, fight and do things, but he had the biggest heart in the world. And, I thank Mr. D for years for standing by him. And I don't think that teachers and counselors get the recognition that they need, especially when you have Jacob went to alternative schools for years. He did end up in a traditional high school
Mhm.
for the last couple of years of his life, but he couldn't have done it all those years without those teachers. And I think we do not have the gratitude we should for teachers and counselors, what they go through every day, especially the ones who work with kids in alternate schools and
Mhm.
other types of education. They have challenges all day, every day
Mhm.
that other teachers may not have.
Like wow moments when people really understand the impact of taking back themselves and advocating for themselves and their change in outlook on their life.
You just become a happier, better person overall, and then you exclude. You're always better with other people is what I'm trying to
Mhm.
say, because once you figure it out and you find out, it's like a weight is lifted off of you, right? So you're going to be just overall happier in what you're doing and how you're working with others. And I think it's going to show in you. I mean, when you're sitting there trying to figure something out and you just know, like, your intuition that there's something off or there's someone's wrong, or what they're saying that you're thinking is wrong, and you really then figure out that no, that was not correct. I was right. My intuition was right.
Um, so as we wrap up today, I often ask, is there an ask or things you want listeners to know, or even a call to action that you want to leave listeners with? So for you, what's that you would like to leave people with today?
I think one of the most important things in life, no matter what you're doing, whether you're talking to your children, you're talking to your significant other, or working with schools and teachers in general, is learning how to communicate effectively and using that communication to help your children figure out a way out of situations too with you. So you're figuring it out together. And so I have a guide on how to create open communication. It says it's for to create open communication with your children, but I really believe it can be used for anyone to learn how to create open communication.
And for the listeners, we'll have all of those contacts in the show notes. So you'll be able to find not only that guide, but also all of Jeanette's social media channels and information on how to contact Jeanette. So look for that in the show notes and accompanying resources. Jeanette, it's been awesome having you today. Thank you so much for joining the Village Vision podcast. I'm so grateful that we've become friends and you've shared your story and experience with all of us.
Thank you so much. I am too very grateful.
Just as Jeanette and I have found out that we have so much in common, that's the great thing about building relationships with people is ultimately we have a lot more in common that we have differences, and really encourage people to see that as opposed to the differences that we tend to get a lot more focused on. But at any rate, again, you'll find all of Jeanette's information as show notes and resources. And thank you for joining us on this episode of the Village Vision podcast. I hope that you found inspiration and valuable insights from our conversation today. Now, if you've enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, rate, leave a review, share. But thank you. Thank you for being a part of the Village Vision podcast. Take care, and let's keep shining a light on the power of community, collaboration, and care. Thank you.